Have you ever wondered how those guys at the stock exchange market get to calculate the current value of a particular security? Have you also wondered how to calculate the accumulated interest on a particular security? Let's take, for example, a bond or a treasury bill. Or let's take, for example, in 5 years' time, how do I know the amount I will generate as interest for me investing my income in bond, in treasury bill, or any similar security? So this video explains all that, and we will discuss this using the ACCRINT function. Now the ACCRINT function is basically a financial function. So this video content centers around what the ACCRINT function is, where it is located in Microsoft Excel, how the ACCRINT formula works. Now, after understanding that, we'll now move further to discuss some realistic examples of the ACCRINT function, where we'll cite some instances of how you get to calculate the interest of a particular bond or treasury bill. Then after that, we'll now look at the do's and don'ts of the ACCRINT function. Then we'll also further it more to calculate improving productivity using the ACCRINT function. That is, what are those things that you get to do in order to be more productive while calculating the interest accumulated on a bond or a treasury bill. So without much further ado, let's get started. So what is the ACCRINT function? Like I said, the ACCRINT function is an Excel financial function which basically calculates the accumulated interest for a particular bond, the accumulated interest for a particular treasury bill, the accumulated interest for a particular security that has been invested in. Now take for example Mr. A, which is myself, invested in a bond, and I invested it with $10,000. Now, if the bond is meant to last for 10 years, what is the accumulated interest within this 10 years interval? That is what the ACCRIT functions calculate. The ACCRIT function is located on the Formula tab. When you scroll to the Formula tab and you come under Financial, click on it, ACCRINT, A-C-R-I-N-T. This is the first function under Financial, and that's where it can be located. Otherwise, you could go to the Insert function and then type ACCR and then hit enter. This is it, it will pop up. Then the third way to locate the ACCRIT function is just to navigate to any cell of your choice. You click the equal sign and begin to type ACCRI. Then this is it, the ACCRIT function will pop up. So irrespective of any of this method you choose, it will work out for you. I hope you understand. Okay, before we take an example, let's understand how the ACCRINT formula works. The ACCRINT function is displayed as the equal sign first, which is very paramount for every Excel formula, then ACCRINT, which is the name of the function itself. It is spelled as ACCRINT. Then you open your parentheses. The first parameter is issue. Now, this issue is simply the security issue date. That is to say, the date in which the security is being issued out. Take, for example, the federal government decided to issue a bond on 1st of January 2018. Now, that 1st of January 2018 is our issue date because that is the date in which the bond is being issued out. Then the next parameter is first interest date. Now, the first interest date is the date in which the first interest of the security is being paid. Then the third is settlement date. So as we can see, the settlement date is the date after the issue date when the security is traded to the buyer. Now take for example, after 2 years, I decided to sell my security to someone else. Then that very particular date I sold it out is the settlement date. I hope you understand. Then the rate is simply the interest rate for the security. This is very simple and explanatory. Sometimes it is being called the coupon rate. but what it means is the interest on that very particular security. Then the next is the face value or the par value. Either you call it face value or par value, it's all the same thing. That is the amount that is initially invested for that very particular security. Then the next parameter is frequency. Frequency simply means how many times in a year does the security pays interest. Now this differ across different issuers of security. Some will prefer to pay quarterly, some will prefer to pay semi-annually, while others will prefer to pay annually. So we only have three parameters under frequency. Another thing to note is that frequency has been assigned a particular number. If it is yearly, you put 1. If it is semi-annually, you put 2. And if it is quarterly, you put what? 4. It's simply as the name implies. 1, once payment. 2, two-time payment. 4, payment 4 times. So these are the code numbers under frequency. Don't worry, when we begin to cite example, you understand that better. Then the last argument, which is of course optional, is the basis. That is day count for the security. I think we have about 4 to 5 day count for a particular security, 30 to 360, actual to actual, actual to 365, then actual to 360. So you get to know which one the issuer of the security uses, or which one is being practiced in your country, and then you include it. But by default, if you fail to include everything, then Excel will automatically choose 30 by 360 for you, which is 0. Otherwise, you specify it, and it also have a code number as you have seen. This is the code number that has been displayed to you on your screen. So you just choose which one you want to go with, but it is optional. If you feel like you want to choose, fine. If you feel like you don't want, you can let it go. Alright, so this is our sample data. A link to this very particular data set will be placed in the description of this video. So it has been arranged for us. Let's go about calculating the ACCRINT function. Now this information has been arranged this way in order for you to understand it better. Issue date, we choose 1st of January 2017. The first interest date becomes 31st of March 2017. The settlement date is 31st of December 2025. And the interest rate or the coupon rate is 6.25%. Then the par value, that is the face value of the interest, is what? 10,000. This can be $10,000, it can be 10,000 naira, it can be 10,000 pounds, it can be 10,000 anything given the currency you are using in your country. Then frequency is 4, which means this very particular security pays 4 times in a year. Then basis is 3, then calculation method is left to become what? 0. So if you want to calculate the ACCRINT function, navigate to any cell of your choice and then click the equal sign. Then you type ACCR. The ACCRINT function has popped up. So what you do is to double click on it, and this is this. The parameter has well been displayed as you can see them here. So this very particular one, which is the issue date, that is the first date in which the security is being issued. Then we select the first date. Then you press comma sign on your keyboard. Now each of these parameter is being separated by a comma sign. If you input any parameter, you place your comma sign. Input a second parameter, you put your comma sign, which shows that the first parameter is different from the second. So the next parameter we need is the first interest date. That is the first date. That is the date in which the security pays its first interest, which is this. You input your comma sign. Then the next is the settlement date, which is what we have here, your comma sign. Then the interest rate or the coupon rate, that is the rate at which this particular security is issued, and we have it here as 6.25%. Then the next is put your comma sign. Then the next is the face value or the par value. So we click on it, you put your equal sign. Then the next thing is the frequency. Like I said earlier, 1 stands for annual, that is 1 payment in a year. Second stands for semi-annual, that's 2 payments in a year. Then 4 stands for quarterly, that's 4 payments in a year. So it depends on which one we want to choose. But since we have everything imputed in Excel cells, let's click on the cells. Then you click your equal sign, sorry, your comma sign. Then the next thing is the basis. The basis is the day count for the security in question. We have different day count like I have showed you earlier. The first one is 0, which is more or less, which is mostly used in the US. That is 30 to 360. Now, what this day count simply means is that 30, the first value stands for month. How do you calculate a particular month? Then the second one stands for year. That is to say, the first one which says 30 360, it takes every month as 30 days. Then it takes the whole year as what? 360. It's just a format. Then the second which says, and the symbol for that is 0. Then the second which says actual and actual, that is to say, it takes the actual year in reality and actual month in reality. Actual month, if it is a month that has 28 days, just like February, it takes it at 28. If it is 29, it takes it at 29. If it is a month that has 30 days, just like September and June, it takes them at 30. And if it is one that has 31 days, which is such as January and March and others, it also takes them at 31 days. Then it takes the year as the way it is in reality. That's why we call it actual actual. I hope you understand. Then the third one, which has a symbol of 2, is actual and 360. That is, it takes the month in actual reality as it is, but it takes the year as 360 days. I hope you understand. Then the fourth one is actual and 365. It takes the actual month and it takes the year as what? 365 days in a year. But every other month, it takes them as it is. If it is 28, 28 days, just like February. If it is 30, 30. If it is 31, 31. I hope you understand. Then the last one is European, mostly used in European countries. That is 30 and 360. Now, this means it takes every month as a 30-day and it takes the whole year as 360. So let's go with actual 365 because it is more or less realistic. So this is the parameter for it, 3. Then the last parameter, which is the calculation method, is optional. Now it has two parameters. It has two variables, 0 and 1. If you input 0, it will calculate the interest from the first date the interest is being paid till the last interest payment date. But if you now choose 1, it means it will calculate the interest from the issue date, the first day in which the security is issued, till the last day in which security is being transferred. So there's a distinction between this. 0 calculates from the first interest payment date, while 1 calculates from the first issue date. So if the issue date is 1st January 2018, then the interest first interest payment date is 31st March 2018. If you input 0, it will start from the first interest payment date, which is 31st March 2018, down to the last day in which the security is being transferred. But if you include 1, if you impute 1, it will start counting from 1st January 2018, which is the issue date. So let's go with 0, which is this. Then close your parenthesis and hit enter. And that's it. It has calculated the accumulated interest for us. Now, what this means is that if you invest $10,000 for a period of from 2017 to 2025, how many years do we have? 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. For 8 years, the accumulated interest you have is $5,626. That's if the interest rate is 6.25, just like we have displayed. So if you do it this way, anytime there are changes, you could just go into any of these cells and make changes to it, and you are good to go. Okay? Okay, but take for example, this is for a single data. What if you are working with multiple datas? For example, in this cell, if you click Control and down arrow, you can see we have 1,000 datas here, and each of them has their issue date, and each one has what? The first interest date, the settlement date, the rate of interest, the par value, which is the face value also, the frequency, how many times does the interest, how many times does the security pays in a year, then the basis also, and the calculation method. So if you have a data like this, the procedure remains the same. You calculate for the first one and you run the analysis down to the last value and you are good to go. So this is how you go about it. So you navigate to this very particular place after the end of your data, navigate to the next cell in order to arrange your accumulated interest there. So you click your equal sign and type ACCRINT. So this is it. You double click on it. It's very important. Don't forget to double click on it. So if you double click, it will display its parameters. The first is the issue date, which is this. Select it, put your comma sign. You select the next one, which is the first interest payment date, the settlement date, the interest rate, which is otherwise called the coupon rate also. Then the face value, which is the amount that is initially invested. You put your comma sign. Then you select your frequency, which is what we have here as 4, comma sign. Then basis, which you have as 3. Then calculation method, which you have as what, 0. Close your parentheses and then hit enter. It has calculated it for us. So this very particular data you can see here is exactly what we have used in our first example. So all these data are just a simulated data that reflect reality, but it was not actually gotten from any stock exchange or any security market. It's just a simulated data. So you navigate to this cell. When you move your mouse to the edge of this very particular cell, the arrow changes, and when you double click on it, it will automatically run the same formula according to each row downwards to the last cell. So ladies and gentlemen, this is how you get to calculate accumulated interest for a particular security. Make sure every parameter is specified. Make sure the compulsory parameters are what? Specified. Otherwise, it will display an error for you. Now, as you can see here, this very particular place downward has no interest rate, and the interest rate is supposed to be uniform, which is why it displays an error. So the do's and don'ts is this: make sure the compulsory parameters are imputed accordingly. Don't interchange them. Impute them exactly the way it is and accordingly. I hope you understand. So don't mix up things. If you mix the issue date from the first interest payment date, your analysis will be wrong. Same thing applies if you mix settlement date and first interest date or any other date, your analysis will be wrong. So make sure you take your time to go through your data and be sure that everything is intact. So what I will do now is just to run this interest rate downwards. So immediately I do that, do you notice that it automatically updates my value for me? So control down arrow and everything is intact. Alright, to improve productivity while calculating the ACCRINT, while using the ACCRINT function, make sure you input your values. Make sure you input the content of your parameters in each cell. Now take for example, I could just come down here, press my equal sign and say ACCRINT, open it and begin to type my date manually. If I begin to type my dates manually, let's say the issue date, I now said 1st of January 2017 before I press my comma. Excel will of course understand what I'm saying. As you can see, it has moved from issue date to interest date because it has detected the date format. But if you do this, you are unproductive. Make sure you input your date in cells. Now, instead of me typing them manually, I will just come down and input them in a respective cell just like this, such that I will just make reference to that very particular cell. Press my equal sign, make reference to the second cell, equal sign, sorry, the comma sign, make reference to my cell, and make sure you arrange your cells accordingly. If they are in columns, make sure they follow each other, and if they are in rows, make sure they also follow each other. So I have my comma sign, the next normal sign, the next comma sign, the next comma sign, the next, then put my parentheses and hit enter. So this value and this value is the same. I hope you understand me. Now that simply means if in the future let's say there is a modification to the settlement date, you could easily just come to the particular cell, which is this, and just easily impute the modification that has been made. Let's say this is no longer 2015, it is 2014. So you change this to 4, hit enter, it will automatically update for you. But if you are imputing them inside the formula, then you have to go inside and be changing them one after the other, which is hectic. So it is advisable you input your parameters on each respective cell so that as you are using the formula, you'll be making reference to the cell and not typing them manually. So ladies and gentlemen, that is it for the ACCRINT function. We have series of Excel function that has been explained in this channel. An example is the sum product function. If you want to understand how the sum product function works, click the card above. So I hope you understand how the ACCRINT function works. Now, if you are confused on how Excel function works in general, click the card above. It will take you to a particular video of mine that has explicitly explained how the Excel function works. And the link to these very particular videos will be referenced in the description below. So after watching this video, you can click on it to understand better. So if you made it to the end, congratulations, because you have learned a lot. And I believe after practicing, because this very particular data thing that has been used will be linked in the description of this video. So after practicing, you have nothing to worry about in using the ACCRINT function. So if you like this video and you want to get more of such kind of content, please click the like button and subscribe to this very particular channel. My name is Jamil bin Abdullah, and I'm the instructor of Secret to Excel, where we display the secret of Excel to you in order to make Excel easier for you to do your analysis. So don't forget to like and share so that others will benefit from this very particular content. And if you want to see more content just like this that will explain Excel formulas in detail for you to understand them perfectly well, smash the subscribe button and I will see you in another time. Bye.